This dresser was inspired by folklorical, a style of clothing and beautiful embroidery from Mexico. Bobby, he's an introvert too. He goes, you know, all of this social distancing, I've been doing this for years. Nothing has really changed for me. I kind of feel the same. I enjoy being in my house by myself. Not that I like this situation at all. I've been struggling with what kind of story to tell you with this video. Everything has been a struggle. This project back here has taken 2 weeks. It started off super ugly. I was ready to burn it, and now I'm happy with it. But it took a little bit of reconfiguring and rethinking, and I just finally finished it. I've had my store on Cedros Avenue for 21 years. Normally when I drive down the street, it is bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's very hard to find parking. There are delivery trucks and customers up and down the street walking their dogs. But this is how it is today, our new normal. Very hard to get used to. Everything is closed, and I have gone to my store to deliver some boxes and bubble wrap for all the orders we're shipping out.
It takes me a long time to say what I feel. It's like everything I say rubs the wrong way, and what I don't say pushes you away. I can't win.
This dresser already had a coat of white slick paint on it, but in most cases you don't need to prime with DIY paint. It will go on most surfaces because it's clay based. I'm putting on Old 57 here. It takes about a coat and a half.
It's like everything you say puts me in my place. Take my hand just to keep me at arm's length.
I use the continuous spray bottle from the Turquoise Iris. I spray and paint continuously because our paint is so thick and highly pigmented. It helps the paint move across the surface and get even brush strokes. Maybe this story will just get your mind off all of the whatever it is that you're worrying about, if you're worrying. This is a story about the time that I cut my sister's hair. My sister's a hairdresser, and she's a great hairdresser. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. We had this back covered patio, and she's back there with her best friend Lacey, and Lacey was the pastor's daughter of this big church that we went to, and they're playing like beauty shop. They're pretending that they're cutting each other's hair and shampooing and everything. I was very mischievous when I was little. Well, you know, you guys are just pretending to cut hair. We learned how to cut hair in school today, and I could show you how to really cut your hair if you want. Yeah, show us how. I went and got the scissors.
Tea, 2 sugars, milk and honey, please, Sir Windsor. Drink his cup like this most every day.
I'm using the Mexican embroidery stencil from Jamie Ray Vintage to add to the look of this piece. Her stencils are thicker than normal, and her brushes are dense to help you get a nice crisp line.
Every word till now has been in vain. Lock the doors and bolt the windows. Crack the knuckles.
This was my inspiration for the piece. I wanted to create this mermaid tail-ish looking piece of furniture. Jamie Ray Vintage has a stencil called Folklorico that mimics the embroidery, but because the top drawer had like these cutouts, it was very difficult to get the stencil in and around, and I struggled with it. I cut up the folklorical stencil into smaller pieces to work it around the grooves and the molding of the top drawer. Then I used a fine tip black marker to create stitch marks, hoping to add to the embroidered look. I'm standing there with the scissors in my hand. If I cut their hair, then I'm gonna be the one who gets in trouble. Danielle, you cut Lacey's hair and I will teach you everything I learned in school. Danielle starts cutting Lacey's hair, and my sister and I both had long, straight hair, with no layers, all the way down, parted in the middle, very 1970s. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm 5, I'm 6, I can't remember exactly what age, 1st grade. Like, okay, you know, take a piece, take the comb, and just cut here. Lacey started cutting pieces of Danielle's hair, and she had pieces, like, at the top of her head that were 2 inches long. Oh man, this is not looking good. How do I make sure I don't get in trouble for this?
I did the damage, I'll take the fall. My stupid habits, it's all their fault. But I apologize.
I decided to add some paper clay flowers over the stencils to hide the areas that I wasn't happy with. I'm using the mold by Iron Orchid Design called He Loves Me. Edges of the molds can curl up as it dries, so I use the weight of the mold itself to apply gentle pressure so that they would dry flat. I tried to add the paper clay molds to it. I was trying to do it without adding a whole bunch of molds because I wanted to be done with the video. If the molds aren't touching each other, it can kind of look chaotic and scattered, and so I had to keep adding more molds and more molds. I finally just called Dion. She texted me one night, "Where's your dresser? What's taking so long?" And I just told her I'm ready to burn it. After the molds are completely dry, usually 24 hours, you can paint the molds. I like to add waxes or the decrepit dust to highlight all of the details. I also use the spray bottle to get the paint down into all the nooks and crannies of the molds. These molds are super detailed, so you can apply different layers of color and really bring out the intricate designs. Decrepit dust comes in dark and white. I sprinkle it on, work it into the details, and then wipe off the excess. Once the molds are painted, I apply glue to the back and use painter's tape to hold them in place while they dry. I run into the house and I get my mom's attention. "Mom, you better come out into the back patio because Danielle and Lacey are cutting each other's hair." All I remember from there is my mom very upset. It happened to be that picture day was the next day. "What did you do? Oh my gosh, it's the pastor's daughter and she has to drive her home and present her to her mother." Think like Marsha Brady's mom, you know, how it was like all kind of choppy, layered with these little wispy in pieces. Mrs. Brady, she had like this cool looking shag haircut. That looks good. Like, I didn't like my long straight hair.
What I do remember very well, my mom picking me up. She started crying and she carried me into the bathroom, plopped me down on the kitchen or on the bathroom sink, and she was yelling at me, but she wasn't like mad. She was just like, "How could you do this? How could you do this to me?" "What do you mean, how can I do this to you? It's my hair. I did it to me." So I didn't understand that. I can imagine as a mother now how that felt, but she just kept trying to fix it. She just was trying to cut and fix, and she just kept digging a deeper hole, I think, because I went from long hair to a pixie cut.
I still was not happy with the dresser at this point, and Dion suggested that I try some blue iris on the leaves. Dion's solution for everything is blue iris. She loves that color, but I thought, what have I got to lose? So here I am applying it to the leaves and the beaded border. When it's not looking good, it can be really hard to just keep going and keep trusting the process that somehow you're gonna make it look good. Dion tells me you need to distress it and make it look like it's an old Mexican door that's been around for 100 years, and then you need to put white wax on it. Instinctively, subconsciously, I knew that that was what I needed to do, but I was hesitant because once you put the wax on, then you cannot paint again. The wax seals everything in, and then once I started distressing it, it started turning a corner.
Following Dion's advice to make it look super distressed, I took the dark and decrepit dust and clear wax and applied it generously over the entire dresser.
I believe I'm a man with a heart that's a little offbeat. Between the flesh and the bone, that old devil found a way in me.
Decrepit dust is easier to control than dark wax. Apply the clear wax first, so the dust will have something to stick to. Work it down into all of the low spots and then wipe off the excess.
I see, yeah. You gotta love her like a religion. You gotta tell.
Lacey and Danielle never blamed it on me. I wish I could say I'm ashamed of it, but I laugh about it every time I think. I feel bad for my mom and for Lacey's mom, but that's how I really was. I wouldn't do that now. Definitely would not do that now.
I believe every day I'm a burden and I gotta behave. 'Cause your love is a sermon that I gotta start learning by the end of the day.
At this point, the dresser was looking better, but I knew that it needed a lot more molds, so I took the top drawer out, laid it on the floor, and started making a ton more molds. I did not want to glue them in place because I wanted to be able to paint them and get into all the nooks and crannies, so I just laid them in place, then I let them dry, then I went back, painted them, glued them down, and added white wax into all of the highlights.
You gotta love her like a religion. You gotta take her back to the beginning. You gotta love her.
I thought it was done. It's good enough. I'm done with it. But I still didn't love it. And then, this is pennies from heaven. It's our copper patina. You can put it on with your finger. It's translucent. And I decided to just add a little bit of the copper to the highlights of the molds.
I took my finger and I lightly went over all the high spots of the molds with pennies from heaven, which is our copper patina. This gave it a really cool Santa Fe style look, and it gave it the much needed shine that was missing.
I'm still the same. What will it take? Why the wait? Up and down.
This is shipwrecked right here. It's our verdigris wax, and so these two are made to work together to look like a sunken ship, and this was the final touch that I needed that gave it that super aged, decrepit, like it's been in the ocean and survived and came back up and revived situation.
Shipwrecked is a verdigris green wax. It is made to go with copper patina and mimic the look of copper when it's oxidized by the salt air or the ocean. I'm applying it generously over the entire surface of the dresser, working it down into all the low spots and wiping back the excess.
I raged against you like a river on a stone, but against that tidal wave I am overthrown. Mercy, mercy, mercy.
So at this point, I did think that I was done, and I loved the dresser. But then my sister walked in, and she suggested that I apply the copper patina to the handles. And she was right. It looks totally beautiful with the copper handles. I can't imagine it any other way.
Jesus on a shelf.
I feel like these last couple videos have just been kind of just different. Just to say, I'll see you in the next video just feels really not authentic. Every day I wake up and I say to myself, what can I do? What can I build? What can I create? What steps can I take today that is moving me forward regardless of everything else? That is always what's gotten me through. For me, Creativity is a survival instinct. Even if everything around me is falling apart, if I am taking action, it gives me the spark of hope to keep going until the next hour, the next 5 minutes, the next day.
History we all cling on to so dear. All around me was a blinded fantasy. The truth in the mirror of foul vanity. Mercy, 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 mercy. Come on.
Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I'm spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change. Come on.
For more inspiration and tips, subscribe. I post new videos every week. And to find DIY paint in your area or to sell it in your store, click the link below. And to find all the products I used in this video, the link is also below. Thanks for watching.
I just feel so good.